Well, good morning again. I know you've been missing me again, and it has been a while, but now we're going to look at reading 5. This is page 19 through 23 in the book for those of you who are that other learning style. It's critical that you remember to reply all when you send your replies back so that everyone can read it. The thoughtfulness that is going into what you all are saying is amazing. Were we sitting around in a room having a conversation, our personalities and time constraints wouldn't allow us to think and maybe speak our mind as you are doing in this electronic version. The guy from NCA was here the other day, and I talked to him a little bit about what we were doing with this, and I got out the black book from the lounges and let him read through some of the comments, and he was impressed. So here we go. You really kind of need to think of these, each of these as a 30-minute meeting, because by the time you listen and or read and reply all your response and then read the replies as they come back from the staff, you've probably invested about 30 minutes. That's how I'm storing it in our in-service record. So remember to read them all. If you want to respond to someone's response, certainly go ahead and do that. But let's go on with the show. You'll remember we're talking about text features, and today is vocabulary. A word is not a crystal, transparent. A word is not, let me just start that over. A word is not a crystal, transparent, and unchanged. It is the skin of a living thought and may vary greatly in color and content according to the circumstance and the time in which it was used. Oliver Wendell Holmes. Some words do have more color and then get you in trouble. Often teaching vocabulary is restricted or relegated to the language arts teacher. However, all content areas need to focus on vocabulary instruction. Research conducted in the past 10 years reveals that vocabulary knowledge is the single most important factor contributing to reading comprehension. Moreover, studies conducted on the importance of vocabulary instruction demonstrate that it plays a major role in improving comprehension. Each content area has its own unique vocabulary or lexicon. Ah, there's a word for you, lexicon. Use that in class today. In fact, content areas are distinguishable by the terminology and language they use, particularly the labels they use to identify important content area concepts. Content area vocabulary differs greatly from the vocabulary that students study in literature-based classes. Therefore, it is essential that content area teachers incorporate vocabulary work into their planning and instruction. Armbruster and Nagy in 1992 identify 3 aspects of content vocabulary that differentiate it from vocabulary used in literature-based lessons. First, content area vocabulary often consists of major concepts that undergird a lesson or a unit. Therefore, it is critical that students have a clear understanding of what these concepts mean. A student who cannot explain the meaning of perspective after an art lesson on this drawing technique probably have failed to grasp an essential portion of the lesson. In contrast, if a student does not understand a word like desultory in a short story, his understanding of the story is not likely to be affected. That might have been one of the words I skipped over when I was reading in junior high, too. Desultory. A second reason why content area vocabulary terms need to be explicitly taught is that these terms are rarely associated with concepts that students already know. For instance, a student who encounters the term photosynthesis for the first time while reading his science text is confronting an entirely new concept. He has no prior knowledge with which he can connect this term. Nothing in his experience can provide him with a synonym to which he can liken it. Learning new vocabulary in literature-based lessons, however, often involves learning a new label for a concept the student already understands. For example, if indolent is used to describe a character in a story, the reader can easily understand it when it is compared to familiar synonyms like idle and lazy. A third difference between content area vocabulary and the vocabulary students encounter in reading lessons is that content area terms are often semantically related. Students studying a unit on weather might confront the terms cirrus, cumulus, and stratus. How thoroughly a student understands the concept of cirrus clouds will affect what she understands cumulus clouds to be. In contrast, vocabulary words in a language arts lesson are often completely unrelated in meaning. Knowing the meaning of edifice, for example, will not affect the student's comprehension of other terms in the lessons, such as despot or cash. Recent research in early childhood literacy suggests that children's background knowledge and knowledge base play a significant role in learning and in vocabulary development. A lack of experience or limited experiences can become a barrier to learning new concepts and ideas, especially for children whose exposure to life has come primarily from TV. For this reason, teachers need to be sensitive to the level of experience their students bring to class, and to find creative ways to help students expand their knowledge base through direct experience, discussion, analogies, and explanations for content area concepts. This is something that we've observed in our own school. Students come to us with a broad range or a broad difference in their vocabulary, as in how many words they know when they arrive at kindergarten. And that has a huge impact as they learn to read and as they work with other subject areas. And that gap sometimes doesn't appear to close. And as they move up and the reading requirements increase and the vocabulary increases, you can begin to see them struggle. So while we're really making an effort to improve vocabulary of all of our younger kids as rapidly as we can, we need to do so all along the spectrum, K through 50. Instructional implications. Although teachers know that they should do something about vocabulary instruction in their content areas, many are unsure how to tackle this issue. Consequently, some teachers reduce instructions to having students use glossaries and dictionaries to look up and memorize word meanings. Although this method has been used in classrooms for years, it simply is not effective, as it does not transfer into students' everyday language. First, looking up words in a dictionary does not promote real understanding or long-term recall, because it isolates the learning of the vocabulary from the exploration of the subject matter. Moreover, because content area vocabulary often represent major concepts in a unit, instruction needs to go beyond simply defining the terms. Students need strategies that can help them learn what the new concepts mean and see the connections between those concepts. Rote memorization will not provide students any means of making these connections. So all those afternoons I had to copy the dictionary because I might not have done what I was told didn't really pay off for me, did they? A common practice is pre-teaching vocabulary at the beginning of a unit of study. There is some disagreement among reading researchers about whether vocabulary terms should be taught prior to the student reading the text passage, or taught during, or taught after they read them. A number of studies have shown that intensive pre-teaching of vocabulary can improve comprehension. That would seem to make sense. Other experts advocate teaching target vocabulary during or after reading. An important goal of content area lessons is to help students learn how to learn from reading, so they can independently acquire information from text. Both viewpoints have merit, and teachers need to experiment with each to find out what works best for their students. Regardless of the timing of vocabulary instruction, students learn content area terms best through first-hand, purposeful interaction with these concepts in their environment. When it isn't possible to provide students with direct experience, teachers can construct opportunities for students to observe their use through more contrived experiences, such as demonstration, field trips, or audio-visual samples. For students to gain a thorough understanding of technical concepts, teachers need to provide multiple opportunities for students to learn how these words are conceptually related. And with our Promethean and our smart boards, we have the opportunity to create those experiences, I think. Of course, teachers cannot teach every unfamiliar word that students might encounter in their text. In addition to teachers selecting which concepts will be the focus of the unit, Haggard suggests letting the students select their own words by previewing the reading. Working in teams, students develop a list of unfamiliar terms that they believe will be crucial for understanding the focus of the unit. Students' selected words are listed on a chart paper, and each team is asked to defend its selection. The teacher then modifies the list by deleting terms judged to be less important and adding any vocabulary concept that students overlooked. She clearly explains her reasons for including certain words and eliminating others so that students understand how to identify crucial words in content reading. Seems like we'd be double dipping there. Students would be learning how to find the important concepts and learn the vocabulary. Scary thought. After vocabulary terms are selected, teachers need to determine which strategies will offer students the best insight into concept meanings and also the relationship among concepts. There are many vocabulary development strategies teachers can use, and they are in this manual on pages 70 to 89. Concept definition mapping, the Freyer model, which we're familiar with, pre-reading prediction, semantic feature analysis, semantic mapping, Stevens vocabulary elaboration strategy, holy moly, student VOC strategy, and word sorts. In summary, learning vocabulary in the content areas often means learning entirely new concepts. Therefore, concept area teachers should offer students a variety of opportunities to work with and experience these concepts in concept, and to explore the relationships among them. No matter which vocabulary development strategies teachers elect to use, the key to encouraging students to build their vocabulary is the attitude their teacher displays towards vocabulary learning. When students see that their teacher is enthusiastic about teaching the new concepts and models how he derives the meaning of new concepts while reading, they learn that vocabulary development is not only important, but a lifelong process. I think vocabulary is highly important in our work, and I hope you have picked up some hints about what we might be doing in the content areas, because I believe this is one area where every teacher can work with reading in the content area. Some folks struggle with, how am I going to be part of this mission that we're on? Here's a place you can go to work and go to work well. So good luck.